Will a condemned murderer be allowed to play in the Mega Bowl? That's the question that must be addressed this week by the Texas State Supreme Court in Austin. Our own Corinne Ballard with the story.
Condemned murderer and former Austin Steers wide receiver Barefoot Bobby Briggs was transferred today from a maximum security penitentiary in Huntsville to a holding cell at the Austin County Men's Jail. A court hearing scheduled for Thursday will determine whether or not Briggs will be granted a temporary furlough so he can join the Steers in the Mega Bowl 3 weeks from now.
I'm a single mother of 4, and I just think it's totally inappropriate to treat a convicted murderer like he's some kind of sports hero. I mean, these guys contribute to society.
Across the pond in America.
The death penalty that is immoral here, and you're trying to save a person like that trumps all of the morality.
So what? We should trash the whole justice system for the sake of one man?
A justice system that kills people is anything but just.
We're talking about Barefoot Bobby Briggs here. Back in his prime, I'd say the fight.
Well, flip the switch, I say. Get it over with.
Unless you're brain dead or in a coma, everybody knows who Bobby Briggs is. Hell, he's the greatest wide receiver the game has ever seen.
Barefoot Bobby Briggs, I mean, a bona fide celebrity, a real-life hero.
Barefoot's an idol, practically a god.
The guy was born to break records.
We've just received word of a stunning development in a story that we reported to you earlier. Austin Steers, star wide receiver Barefoot Bobby Briggs, has been arrested in connection with a convenience store robbery that occurred last night in the city's University District. Witnesses identified him as the shooter in an armed robbery that resulted in the death of convenience store clerk Jeffrey Kim. This is shocking news.
Yes, it is, Caveat. We're going to have to wait to see how this one plays out.
Now, the question for me was, could a jury send a man that they felt they knew and loved to the death chamber? I mean, that was the real challenge.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty, but can we make an exception?
Robert Allen Briggs was sentenced to death for the 1993 murder of convenience store clerk Jeffrey Kim during a robbery in which Briggs participated. Briggs is scheduled to die by lethal injection January 31st, just one day after Mega Bowl Sunday.
You know what's even more ironic? I can't think of a single person who actually wants this sentence carried out. I can't think of a single person who actually wants Barefoot Bobby Briggs to die. It's like we're killing an American hero.
Going through that gate.
Hey, how you guys?
Hey, how you doing, man? Glad to have you back, man. Good to see you. Hey, guys. Hey, that's Bobby Briggs. Good to see you.
What's going on? How's it going, man?
Where we going sometime, all right, home?
Hey, what's happening, y'all? How y'all doing?
Oh, man. Oh, that's great. Woo-hoo-hoo! Bobby Allen Briggs came into this world as a number. And if the state of Texas has its way, he's going to leave it as a number.
John Doe 17. I fell in love with him. All the nurses did. When they first brought him in, he looked so tiny. Weighed almost nothing. Had to feed him through plastic tubes. Of course, that was the last time I saw him small. Did that boy grow? And shoes? Forget it. He'd cry and cry when we put him on him. And as soon as we lace him up, turn our back, he had him off.
Bobby never wore his shoes on the field. Oh, he tried to make him at first, but he just never ran as fast as he did without him. And no one takes one home game lost to let him leave his cleats in the locker. Lopez! You get your ass off the grass, and next week you're going to be baking cookies in home ec with the rest of the girls. Anyway, that's how he got his name, Barefoot Bobby Briggs. We retired his number when he graduated. That's unprecedented in peacetime high school football. That's exactly what Barefoot was. Unprecedented. I gotta admit, I was a little choked up when he picked his old number when he turned pro.
J5884794. Briggs. Robert Allen. The J stands for J-Wing. That's death row here at Ellis Unit. The last 2 digits are the year he was transferred here from Dallas County after his trial and conviction, 94. The rest of the numbers are sequential. Now, there's a reason for that beyond just administrative expediency. It's psychological as well. This is death row. Our job is to warehouse these men until such time that they are taken from their cells and executed. So it's not advisable that our prison staff get to know these men on a first-name basis.
I've been a fan of Barefoot ever since he was a starter at Texas A&M. That's not, I'm not going to treat him special, I mean, I'm going to be professional about all this. I mean, it's not like he's going to get preferential treatment because, he autographed my kid's football. Shit. All right.
America, tell me what you think. Next caller.
Robert Briggs is a murderer, not a hero.
I don't understand how the courts can allow this. It's a mockery.
What's next? The Gong Show?
You know what surprises me most?
That nobody saw this whole thing coming.
For starters, he has got an attorney who is notorious for pulling this kind of crap.
Legal sleight of hand.
It's a brilliant gambit, really. The appeals are done, so what do? Bet it all on a football game.
It's an act of desperation.
It's the legal equivalent of a Hail Mary pass.
Well, I think the whole thing's
It
ridiculous.
makes me ashamed to admit I'm Texan.
It's absurd.
Absurd. That's what I've heard it called, among other things. But what I find absurd, truly absurd, is the notion that at this point in the history of 21st century America, the self-proclaimed beacon of freedom and justice in the free world still practices ritual human sacrifice upon its own citizenry. Now that, gentlemen, is the quintessence of absurdity. All else is merely theater. My name is Marshall Ledger. I am by vocation a capital appeals attorney. I represent Bobby Allen Briggs.
Mr. Ledger?
No, don't get up, Bobby. Jimmy, can you take the cuffs off? Come on.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Okay.
Trip down from Huntsville, okay?
Long.
Well, it is. There's not a lot to see, is there?
A lot of desert.
Yeah.
Marshall founded the Abolition Coalition as a nonprofit organization dedicated to vacating the death sentences of every condemned man in this country.
Our broader goal is nothing short of the complete abolition of the death penalty in America. But our modus operandi is one at a time.
Mr. Ledger, what do you look for in a case?
I don't. They look for me.
Yeah, and he takes them all, too.
My only criterion is that new clients be under active death warrant.
Is Bobby Briggs guilty?
Jury of his peers thought so. Appellate courts agreed, at least for now.
But what do you think?
Guilt or innocence is not relevant in the position one should take on the subject of the death penalty. And you like that for avoiding your question.
Ledger doesn't practice law. He's an idealist. And that is counterproductive in any courtroom. What makes the American legal system work is that there is no room for ideals, just the rules.
The American justice system survives by the willingness of lawyers to play by the rules. But if you do that, you're digging your client's grave. The only way a man can get a truly fair trial in America is for his lawyer to break every rule in the book and then invent some new ones to break.
He's a monkey wrench thrower, plain and simple. Anything he can do to gum up the works, he'll do.
Yeah, I've been accused of that. But when you're dealing with a courtroom full of monkeys, sometimes a wrench is the only way to go. Of course, I realized right away But the only way to save my client's life was to convince the people with the power to save it that his life was of value to them. Of course, when I say people, I'm talking about one man, Governor Wade Purvis. The governor had signed the death warrant, and it looked like there wasn't much we would be able to do beyond a straight-out bid for clemency. And Texas is notoriously stingy when it comes to clemency. Now, this was the situation we were facing in November, and no matter which way I looked, the outcome was a grim one. Until, of course, Andy Reimer blew his knee out.
It was a devastating blow to Austin Steers' football franchise in Sunday's game against Pittsburgh. It was all square at 7-7 in the final minutes of the fourth quarter when Austin Steers' star wide receiver Andrew Reimer suffered a season-ending knee injury.
When I got up, my knee was on fire, and it was gone. Could not put any weight on it. Something was just completely obliterated in my knee. It was a freak thing, unexpected, but part of the game.
Not since barefoot Bobby Briggs have we seen such an elegant marriage of grace and speed in a wide receiver.
It's been said that the only difference between Andrew Reimer and barefoot Bobby Briggs is that Andy wears shoes.
Without him, we had no team. We knew it, the general manager knew it, the owner knew it, and of course, by the following Sunday, the whole world knew it.
Since Andy Reimer's injury, these men were watching their Mega Bowl stranglehold loosen and slip game by game, yard by excruciating yard. All they needed was a replacement receiver. Where were they going to find a new star to guide them back on course and chart them to their Mega Bowl destiny? Well, it doesn't take Pythagoras to do that math.
They don't want me to play.
Well, some people don't, Bobby.
Why? Don't they like football?
Of course they like football. They're American. But some of the people are Bison fans.
Oh.
And they don't think it's fair to the Bisons if you're allowed to play for Austin. Now, if the state Supreme Court rules in our favor and upholds the circuit court's original decision, what they think won't matter. Your furlough will be effective immediately. You'll be able to join your teammates for practice as early as Friday morning.
Now, that's good.
It'll be just like it was before. You'll stay here and attend practices under armed escort.
So, do I have to wear that little ankle thing?
Electronic monitor? Yeah, that's part of the deal. But Bobby.
Yes, Mr. Ledger.
That doesn't mean our fight is over.
So they might not let me play?
Now, that's a possibility we should be prepared for.
Oh, fullback to tight end forward.
Now, wait a second. Hold it. Fullback
to tight end.
To tight end.
Four.
Check. Check. Fullback to tight end 4. Check. When I first started my capital work, I was very nervous about meeting the men whose lives I swore to defend. What do you say to a man whose life is quite literally in your hands? Not to mention the fact that most of my clients are men who have as little in common with me as a crawfish does with a crowbar. It turns out I was wrong about that. I did have one thing in common with the men on death row: chess. Now, it makes sense if you think about it. These men spent 23 hours of every day locked in one-man cells. They're only allowed 1 hour per day in the exercise yard, weather permitting. And even then, they're only allowed out one at a time. Add to that 15 minutes twice a week for showers. And a 1 hour visit once a month, if they've got anyone left on the outside who still cares enough to make the trip to Huntsville, which is pretty remote, even by Texas standards. They're only allowed a certain amount of prison-approved reading material. I think it's 4 books 4 times a year. A lot of them are illiterate anyway. So what do you think they do to pass all that time? They play chess. Now, chess has always been something of a passion of mine, so I soon fell into the habit of challenging new clients to a friendly game. break the ice, so to speak. As my client list grew, so did the number of games I had going. I'm up to 42 of each at the moment. Quite a juggling act. The only things missing are a blindfold, a tightrope, and a representative from Guinness. That's a joke, you know. But Bobby was different. He didn't play chess, never bothered to learn. Not even when he arrived at Huntsville. So I offered to tutor him.
When Mr. Ledger first come by, he bring his chessboard with him, and he asked me if I wants to play. And I tell him I don't know how to play. And he just looks at me like I was from Mars or something. And then he just commences to setting up the pieces anyway, and he says to me, he says, Bobby, now there are two things I've never met on death row. One's a guilty man, the other's a man who don't know how to play chess. That Mr. Ledger. It was hard. I mean, he had all these different names for the pieces, and they could only move a certain way. You know, some of them could jump like checkers, and the others of them couldn't hardly move at all. Between you and me, I think Mr. Ledger got mad.
It took forever. Bobby just couldn't get his mind around the rules. Here was a kid who spent practically his whole life doing one thing so supremely well, it left very little room for him to excel at anything else. But then it hit me. I had to teach him this new game in terms of something with which he was already familiar. Football.
See, these little ones in front, they the linemen. They like my guards or tackles, even though they small. And oh, this one on the end here, this is like a tight end, because he can run the whole length of the field like this and like this.
As soon as I put it in terms he already understood, he took to it like a cop to a donut. It appears that big lummox is beating me. I don't know whether to be proud or offended.
The graveyard shift turns deadly for a convenience store clerk at a University District spend and go last night.
Assailants robbed a local convenience store, resulting in the death of Jeffrey Kim.
Un robo terminó en tragedia en una tienda en el centro de Austin cuando dos ladrones dispararon contra el cajero en turno.
Jeffrey Kim was shot and killed after complying with the gunman who robbed the Laramie Avenue spend and go where Kim worked the graveyard shift.
And this is Jeffrey's room. I like to keep it the way it was when he passed on. Oh, and look at his little animals. Jeffrey loved animals, absolutely loved them. He wanted to be a veterinarian. But you know what? He could not stand the sight of blood or, getting bit or anything like that, so it just didn't really pan out for him. And over here, we got his cat, Chanticleer. Looky there. Lord only knows where it came up with that name. I don't know, but oh God, I remember he found this cat stuck in a drain pipe down over there by the Joyce Kilmer Elementary School. And I guess he just heard it meowing and whatnot. And oh, I remember he come running home and he fetched his good sweater that Grandma Pitty Sing knitted him for a Methodist Christmas, and took that sweater sleeve and dangled it down there in that drain pipe. And then that cat come running up that sleeve and out to freedom. And, he said, "You see, Mom? You see why you cannot get them declawed." Yeah, well, he got to keep that cat, of course. And that cat got to keep her claws. And I got a, sectional sofa down there in the basement to prove it. Looks like Cousin It. But, God, the oddest thing about that, though, the weirdest thing, was that cat just keeled over shortly after Jeffrey passed on. And, I don't know, I cannot bring myself to quit putting food out for that cat every day. And sometimes I just wonder if I ever will.
Mr. Briggs, count 1 of murder in the first degree with aggravated circumstances. How do you plead?
Not guilty. Not guilty, Your Honor.
At my bidding, Bobby Briggs pled not guilty at his arraignment. And that took some doing on my part. He wanted to plead guilty. Apparently because he felt sorry for allegedly shooting Mr. Kim.
Gun went off in my hand. I shot him. I knew it when it happened. It even said so on the tape.
I found myself in the somewhat novel position of trying to persuade my own client that sometimes perception can be ambiguous, at least from a legal standpoint. You see, the court does not deal in objective realities, but in subjective ones. And since the DA's office seemed dead set against the possibility of a plea bargain, it was in Mr. Briggs' vital interest to plead as I had implored him to plead, not guilty. This was Ray Ellis's crime from start to finish. He planned it, he executed it. He's the one who got Bobby involved, not the other way around.
And Bobby was always cleaning up after that boy's mess. I don't care how hard I tried to drum into him, no good would ever come of him helping Ray.
Look at Ray's rap sheet. It's the kind of crime he'd been pulling for years, though, of course, the jury never got the opportunity to hear about that.
Was Ray Ellis a credible witness?
Well, he seemed like a pretty decent fella.
He had a suit on and everything at trial.
He made himself out to be Bobby's friend.
Well, he was
He was Bobby's friend, and I just loved, I loved Bobby, but when Ray started talking, I kind of believed him.
Shit, no doubt. I lied. My whole testimony was a lie. I did it to save my own ass. I said exactly what the prosecutor wanted me to say. What's going on, Brian? I mean, you look at it from where I'm coming from, 23 years old, you know what I'm saying, scared shitless, facing possible death sentence. DA come to me talking about change your plea, testify against Briggs, we're gonna give you 8 to 10, you'll be out in 5. What's going on, Big James? No, I ain't really had to think about that. You do the math, so. Cop. Okay, did what I had to do, you know. Looking back on it, I ain't proud of it, but I got a mom to think about. So, hey, what's going on? Brian, keep up, white boy. What I would say to Bobby Briggs. Sorry. I didn't mean to do you like that. Just taking care of business.
Well, would you be willing to recant your testimony and face perjury charges on his behalf?
Oh, no doubt, no question, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I could, I would. You know, but they don't want to hear that. The courts figure if I lied then, I'm gonna lie now, so.
Tell us about the robbery.
I wasn't gonna kill nobody, that's for sure. I just, I just wanted to fit the jack and whatever was in the register, really. The gun was just kind of like for show, like a prop,
Prop?
Yeah, prop, just like, shit your drawers, motherfucker, I got a gun.
But the gun was loaded.
Yeah, it was loaded. The nigga dead, right? Had to be loaded, right? Think I'm going to a robbery without a loaded prop? Or do you think I'm stupid?
Did Bobby know what your intentions were?
No. He was sitting in the car like he said he was, but he should have just kept his ass in there. He wouldn't be where he at now.
I had to go to the bathroom. So I went into the store to get the bathroom key.
I look back, nigga standing right there, fuck it, put him to work.
He told me to take the gun. But I didn't want to touch it.
Boy, it would do you wise to take this gun and point it at his ass right now.
And he put it in my hand. He put it in my hand.
He didn't want the gun? I'm sorry, but I do not see a reluctant accomplice on that videotape. I don't see an individual who, under duress, is being manipulated or coerced into performing some action that he wouldn't otherwise perform. What I see when I look at that videotape is 280 pounds of former professional football star holding a gun on a 98-pound effeminate college student. Oh, yeah, and I see another guy about half his size helping him out.
Did he say anything when you handed him the gun?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I don't want that. That ain't my thing. I don't, you know." He didn't want it. Bobby bitch. He said he ain't want it. It ain't his thing.
We don't know that. There's no sound on that videotape. How do we know he isn't saying just the opposite? How do we know he isn't saying, no, Ray, you're doing it wrong. Come on, Ray, give me the gun. I'll show you how to kill an unarmed man in cold blood. There's no way of knowing. It's one killer's word against another. The only other eyewitness to the crime is the victim himself. And it's a little hard to hear his testimony under 6 feet of cemetery soil and the anguished sobs of grief of his mother. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what this is all about?
I can't watch that video. I just simply cannot bring myself to face the fear that Jeffrey must have suffered in those final moments. He had a heart murmur, and he was just more prone to frights than most children his age. But I've always wondered if just, you know, the stress alone wouldn't have killed him. Because, you know, here he was working at the late shift at Spend and Go, and all of a sudden he looks up and there's a black man staring at him with a gun. And I just think sometimes that it's a miracle he didn't have a heart attack on him right then and there.
So one day, me and old Ray decided it might be fun for us to borrow one of them our three-wheelers, take it out on them dirt bike trails out behind the Fuddruckers on Interstate 5. We don't get more than about 3 miles out through there before the damn thing runs out of gas. So we just get up split, right? I mean, leave it there, no harm, no foul, I figured. Till old big mouth Ray has to go and tell Bobby about it. What do you think that big dumb barefoot sumbitch goes out and does? He bikes on out there to where we left it and starts pushing it back where we got it from. It's about halfway there, a state trooper pulls up behind him. Son, what you doing with that there three-wheeler? Just taking it home, sir. It ain't broke, it's just thirsty. Got himself arrested right there on the spot. And you think he drops a dime on me and Ray to save his own ass? Hell no. Says it was him who done the whole thing by himself. He concocted the whole idea. Wasn't even capable of it.
I love Barefoot like a son. But he was never a kid to get bow-legged from toting his brains around. He got him into a mess of trouble more times than one. But he always meant good.
When Mr. Ledger come down to see me, well, he brought me a roll of fruit chews. Said he heard I liked them from TV.
Yeah, I believe I read something about it in the trial transcript. I always like to do something to break the ice when I meet a prospective client for the first time.
I was worried about paying him. After my trial and whatnot, most of my savings been used up. And whatever I had left, it went to Mr. Kim's family. So I really couldn't offer Mr. Ledger nothing. Well, except maybe my autograph, which he could possibly sell, but he just said, that's okay. You know, he was working pro bono.
Mr. Marshall.
Well, back to huddle, Bobby. Remember how I showed you? Good, good. Just came from a little huddle of my own. Petitioned the State Supreme Court to let you practice with the team pending their ruling. And you can start tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Ledger. Thank you very much.
One step at a time, Bobby.
God damn it, Grissom! what you waiting on, the bus? Move, move, move! The ball ain't gonna wait in the air for you to catch up. Let's go! Line it up!
I mean, Barefoot's the perfect receiver for any quarterback. I mean, no matter where you put that ball, he's gonna get it. It's almost uncanny. I mean, there's been times where I'm looking for a man downfield. You know, I'm falling back, I'm losing yards, the clock's beating down, I can't see shit. And then the two-ton lineman comes busting through my guard, I'm about to get shit sacked. Can I say that? Anyway, I say a prayer, man. And I hurl that ball over everybody towards the end zone, thinking Bobby will be there, man, Bobby will get it. And that noise, man, the noise of that crowd, tell me better than any instant replay. That's 6 points for Bobby Briggs.
Hey guys, it's Bobby! Come on, guys! Bobby! Hey! Hey, what the hell going on? Hold down! You're late, Briggs. Is this how you gonna show up at your own execution?
No, sir, Coach.
See, I don't care what they do down there at Pussyfield Death Row, huh? You out here on my field. Be on time. You understand me?
Yes, sir, Coach.
What you waiting on? Last rice? Get the hell out down that field!
All right, Barefoot!
Nice!
Yeah. No.
Barefoot Bobby Briggs was released under heavy guard this morning after a Texas State Supreme Court granted his motion to practice with the Austin Steers.
Hell, the man's on death row, for Christ's sake. He's a convicted felon, a murderer, and they want to let him out to play in the big games. You tell me there ain't something shady going on down there in Texas. If the Football League can muster up enough balls to do something about this, I'd like it. And one more thing. Texas can sell out their criminal system all they want. But in Alabama, we still have something sacred here. That's 4th and goal, son.
It's not the job of the AFL to say who can play and who can't. If it's been determined that no official rules or guidelines have been broken, which appears to be the case in this instance, then our organization cannot step in and prevent Robert Briggs from playing for the Austin Steers.
The Football League doesn't fine its players? Please. They do it all the time. It's called the Morals Clause. But Bobby didn't get that this time around. He lost his contract due to that conviction. And that's why somebody's got to negotiate him a new one.
Now, I'm no sports agent and have no desire to be one. But I have had some experience with contract negotiations, and Bobby's, though unorthodox, was a fairly straightforward affair. My proposal suggested that Bobby's substantial salary be split into thirds and divided equally among 3 parties: the Texas Department of Corrections, the Football League, and the victim's mother.
Oh, well. First, I was just dead set against it. Don't you know that I was? But, you know, then I got to thinking about it, and, well, I mean, Jeffrey was a Steers fan. I believe that Jeffrey would have wanted Bobby to play. He would have wanted him to. I mean, as long as they're gonna go ahead and kill him afterwards anyway.
Well, they ought to kill him. It'll be a mercy killing compared to what we're gonna do to him on Mega Bowl Sunday. Because as far as I'm concerned, the only place to settle this ain't the courthouse. It's a gridiron. Now, if Texas wants to put a convicted killer on the field, by God, my linemen are ready to meet him. We got the best damn defense in the National Conference, you know. And they'll be more than happy to finish the job that Texas pussied out on. When our boys get done with Bobby Briggs, he'll wish he had a needle in the arm.
Who decides who lives or dies? Ideally, God does. But in his infinite and conspicuous legal absence, no disrespect intended, who do we anoint to preside over this gravest of social matters? Ultimately, the county prosecutor. And what ultimately is the prosecutor going to decide? Whatever allows him to keep his job. Unless, of course, he's booking for a promotion.
I was elected to Congress in November after the trial, yes, but let me assure you that it had nothing to do with the verdict. Texas is a football state, remember? And that trial made me a very unpopular man in some counties. And I still am, I'm sorry to say.
What it all boiled down to from Jack Levant's point of view was, it was election year in good old law and order Harris County, and a high-profile capital crime offered the perfect platform.
Election year, election year. I mean, you know, they can shout that till they're blue in the face. But let me tell you something about America. In this great land of ours, every other year is an election year. So what, I'm supposed to, if something comes up that's got even the slightest whiff of the political, I'm supposed to back burner it out of fear that I'm going to be labeled an opportunist? I do not work that way, and my constituents don't expect me to. I know there's folks out there, they're going to cry OJ, and they're going to say that I went after Bobby because he's a big football hero, and I needed a big public election year victory, and that's just BS. And it stinks of sour grapes, too.
Then ask him why his office sought the death penalty against Bobby instead of Ray Ray.
We had two perpetrators, one gunshot. Who fired it? Both of them? I mean, in a perfect world, yes. This office would like nothing better than to see both those men in pine boxes and paupers' graves. But, I mean, this ain't Valhalla, this is Texas. And you gotta pick your Alamos. Ray talked. Bobby didn't, and it is as simple as that.
You know, we like to believe that justice is absolute, divine, that is somehow metaphysically ordained from on high. But the truth is, justice is nothing more than another facet of political power.
I don't understand what all the fuss is about. Just because a man's on death row, he shouldn't be allowed to play in the Mega Bowl? I think that's a little disingenuous, don't you? I mean, it's not like the man's career ended the day his incarceration began. Hell, Bobby played here on the prison team, right here in Huntsville.
Yeah, we got a team called the Huntsville Lifers. Pretty good. I mean, we're nothing special. You know, we usually make it to the interdepartmental playoffs, and then we end up losing to someplace like Stark or Galveston Correctional, and they're minimum security facilities. You see what I mean? You know, hey, keep it down. I'm documenting.
We used to have us a rodeo, but the state made us quit it. They said it was abuse of inmates, dressing up like clowns and letting the bulls bust the shit out of them.
So now they got themselves a football team instead, which is even better for them, because now they get to watch us kick the shit out of each other. You know that movie Gladiator? That's what it's all about, man. They're a little fucking entertainment.
This is prison league football, girlfriends. And in prison league football, equipment ain't a right. It's a privilege. Groin cups. Got 3 of them. Go get them, boys!
Animals. I mean, that's what they are, basically. You can't coach them, can't drill them, can't organize them. They lack discipline. I mean, hell, if they had discipline, they wouldn't be here in the first place. But these are some of the hardest lifers in the system. There's no reason they should be losing week after week to a bunch of house arrest trustees, but that's what was happening. At least till Bobby came along.
There was some fallout about it at first. Human rights watch groups and victims' rights organizations weren't too thrilled.
But we don't wish for the execution, no. We wish for it to stop, naturally. But we are also ideologically against treating one prisoner one way and all the others the other way. It is just against basic human rights.
But the thing is, Bobby never presented any real danger to anyone. Letting him play in the prison league didn't do anything but bend a few of our own rules a little bit. Where's the harm in that?
Everyone was watching this trial real close, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody knew if he drew that sentence, he was coming right here to the motherfucking hell. Damn. We had a hell of a squad with Big Barefoot playing ball with us.
They had it all worked out. Practice times, away games, who was going to guard them, and this was all volunteer, keep in mind. I had an entire staff of correctional officers working to let a dead man out of his cage to play football. All they needed was my okay. Problem was I couldn't give it to them. Not without DOC approval.
Warden Duffy's proposal, while it may have seemed a bit odd to others, was really nothing more than a simple request to allow a prisoner to participate in a program designed for prisoners. I believe it took the board all of 10 minutes to approve his request.
He kicked their ass into shape. Yeah.
Bobby? Oh. More signings, Mr. Ledger?
Seems endless, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't mind. It reminds me of signing football.
How practice is going? They running you too hard?
Oh, no. They going real good. I like the feel of the grass underneath my feet again.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you sure you can't just stay and talk for a little while?
And Bobby, nothing would give me more pleasure, but I can't disappoint my grandson. Understand?
I understand.
But next time, okay?
Next time.
Good. Next time. You take care now.
You too, Mr. Ledger. I mean, Mr. Ledger.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. Wide receiver. Tackles lineman.
Wide receiver.
Tackles lineman.
Tackles lineman.
Check.
America, we are through the looking glass. They're gonna let Bobby Briggs play in the Mega Bowl.
That's just a little crazy, you know? I mean, we spent all these tax dollars money making sure all these condemned murderers get good and locked up, yet here we are.
Yeah, that's right, Marshall Ledger. He's betting if Biafra plays well, let's face it, Biafra's a darn good player, then he'll...
I think I can speak for everyone in saying that we're all shocked that Briggs's furlough went through. This is the kind of thing that would never get past the Olympic Committee, that's for sure. I guess it's a good thing for the steers that Barefoot is not a figure skater.
Kendall?
Governor Purvis, do you agree with the state Supreme Court's decision to allow Bobby Briggs to play in the Mega Bowl?
Look, now, whether I agree with the decision or not, the court has ruled. I intend to respect the ruling, and I would encourage the good citizens of Texas to do the same. Now, if you're asking me if I'm going to watch the game come Sunday, hell yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be rooting for Awesome, just like the rest of Texas. That includes you, Kendall.
Governor Wade Purvis is the only thing standing between Bobby Briggs and the great hereafter. Of course it matters how Bobby plays on Sunday. Think of it this way. If he wins the Mega Bowl, you think killing him the day after is going to be a popular cause? It'd be political suicide to let him kill him. On the other hand, if the Steers lose, Purvis can't commute. Because if he does, it's going to look like he made a deal.
But won't it look like that either way?
Of course it will. But if they win, no one's going to care.
And if they lose, someone's got to hang.
Precisely. The knot's already been tied.
Governor Purvis, Governor, will Briggs' performance in the game in any way affect his bid for clemency?
Oh, Sylvia, I'm surprised at you. Clemency is a grave responsibility. Perhaps the greatest any governor ever faces. I take this very, very seriously. I will base my decision on a thorough and impartial review of the facts of the case. Nothing more.
Will you make your decision before or after the Mega Bowl?
I wouldn't want to jinx him. Not this week.
Yeah, I feel pressure, man. I feel the pressure. What quarterback wouldn't feel the pressure? I mean you're going to kill him. You know, I don't want nobody dying. I just want to play football.
If the Steers win on Sunday, do you think Governor will commute Bobby's death sentence?
If he's a football fan, and I think he is.
Wade Purvis is not exactly the kind of politician you could accuse of being soft on crime. His record on the death penalty is almost as atrocious as that of the state he governs. In his 7 years in the governor's mansion, he has assigned 247 death warrants. He has not granted a single request for clemency. Now, how was I going to convince this man that Bobby Briggs should be the only blemish on his otherwise spotless record? The answer lay in the Steer Dome skybox, or rather, the gentlemen with whom I shared it. Warren Little, Hyatt Fielding, Cy Silverberg, Sorrel Jenkins, individually the most powerful oil barons in the Western Hemisphere. Collectively, Steer's franchise co-owners. It was their money that leased Purvis the governor's mansion in the first place. Now it was time to renew that lease.
It really angers me that the United States of America, the bastion of freedom and human rights in the free world, will kill its own citizen in my name. It's hypocrisy. Why don't they just put it on TV, make it pay-per-view, call it Death Ball, and we'll make a fortune in this country. Yeah, well, really.
Insofar as I am an advocate of executions at all, I am an advocate of public executions. I believe if we're going to insist as a society on having them, then we have a responsibility, no, an obligation, to participate directly. We should attend them, watch them, smell them. Execution is an ugly business. If we're going to allow the state to kill in our names, then by God, we better full well and embrace what we sanction. I propose that every registered voter be tapped on a rotating basis like jury duty. And when you're summoned, you must attend. There's no out, no excuse. This is serious business. We must start treating it as such. Otherwise, we're lost. I don't think we could handle it, truth be told. I think if we actually had to face what we so blithely command others to do on our behalf, we'd abolish the barbaric practice overnight.
And we are going in 3, 2, 1.
Already there is something of a carnival-esque atmosphere here at the prison, necessitating a steady buildup of security, which will continue to build significantly throughout the night as we head into Mega Bowl Sunday and the game that could ultimately decide the fate of Robert Allen Briggs.
Well, when we heard they were having this demonstration, we said we gotta be down there. Because as far as we're concerned, it's an eye for an eye, man. I mean, it says so in the Bible. If you take a life, you forfeit yours.
You read your Bible, huh? You read your Bible. If you're in Texas, you live by the Bible!
Yeah. That's why we've been asked down to the prison today, okay? Tensions are running high out here among the tumbleweeds and power lines. I'm asking people to link elbows and two-step with me across the cow pasture. That way the chances of violence are a lot less. I mean, you never saw anybody riot when they're two-stepping, right?
B-O-B-B-Y, Barefoot Bobby, say Bobby!
Yeah!
Say Bobby!
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
My name is J. Woodsy Niles, my pleasure. I am the owner and proprietor of the Last Meal Lunch Truck. Our menu over here features recreations of last meals ordered by condemned inmates under death watch.
Closure? Right. Closure is important, huh? It's all about closure.
Why don't we just kill them exactly the same way they kill their victims, huh? That'd be fair.
Here's a real popular dish we have. It's called the John Wayne Gacy Special. Deboned perch drawn in butter served over a bed of wild rice.
You know, somebody makes a mistake in their life one time, they get killed for it. It ain't right.
Well, what are we gonna do? Keep him in prison for the rest of his life? Give him 3 hots in a cot that the taxpayers have to pay for? Screw that shit!
And screw the appeals, man. I mean, they shouldn't even have them. I mean, you're guilty, you die. It's that simple.
And I'm here to watch him burn.
We choose life! We choose life! We choose life!
The screw told us the truth. You know, the other thing you gotta know is screw is convict slang for guard. The guard who told us the truth. It's like a story passed down from guard to convict over the years. Yep. It's a true story, by the way. The screw who told us the truth I trust, for the last meal was brought, denied the right to waste away, behind the bars to rot. What feast might please the dead man's tongue? The warden he inquired, to fill our belly before the breath of life so soon expires. Lead me to your gallows high, O righteous court of man, and feed me not, the last laugh shall be mine, when blood is on your hands, when blood is on your hands. Yeah, thank you much. That's a Caleb, the sonneteer.
Essentially, there are three justifications for the death penalty: deterrence, economics, and retribution. Now, deterrence has already been disproved. I won't bore you with the numbers, you can look them up yourself. But consider this. If there really were a correlation between the death penalty and the murder rate, Texas would be the safest place on earth. Economics. You'll often hear people gripe about how expensive it is to keep people in prison for life, and that it would be cheaper just to kill them. The reality, and again, the numbers bear this out, the reality is it's more expensive for the state to execute than incarcerate. Appeals cost money, from court transcripts all the way down to the bailiff's Christmas bonus. It takes an average of 6 to 12 years for a capital case to exhaust itself to execution. And the money spent on it could have financed 3 life sentences, and you'd still have change left over. So what do we do? Streamline the appeals process? Grease the machine even more to cut costs? How much of our checks and balances are you willing to sacrifice in the name of thrift? Now, by far, the most compelling argument in favor of the death penalty is retribution. We all understand revenge. We all sympathize with the grieving mother and long to impose the justice we crave of God. Now, I won't even attempt to refute the revenge argument. It refutes itself quite thoroughly. Let me put it to you this way. As difficult as it is, I can somehow understand one man murdering 1,000 men, but I cannot understand 1,000 men murdering one. Civilization becomes forfeit.
Bear with me for an hour or so. We'll try and keep it short so we can all get out of here by halftime, okay? As you know, Robert Allen Briggs is scheduled to be executed by lethal injection here tomorrow morning. I just wanted to go over some pertinent aspects of execution protocol so y'all have some idea of what to expect and what is expected of you. At 4:30 a.m. on execution day, the food service director will personally prepare and serve the last meal. Eating utensils permitted the condemned consist of a plate, and enter through the sally port and leave the executioner in the waiting room of the death chamber. A security staff member will be posted in the chamber area. Official witnesses will report to the Texas State Prison's main gate no later than 5:30 a.m., where they will be greeted by 2 designated Department of Corrections escort staff. 5:50 a.m., authorized media witnesses will be picked up at the media onlooker area by 2 designated Department Assistant Superintendent of Operations, and the correctional officer chief will escort the condemned inmate to the execution chamber, where he will be strapped to the gurney by the execution team. Will then permit the condemned inmate to make a final statement should the inmate choose to do so. The correctional officer chief will then activate the executioner control panel. The automatic cycle will then begin.
Of course, it all came down to one play. The important things invariably do.
The score stands at 24-20 Bison. Final seconds of the fourth quarter. Steers have possession on Birmingham's 30-yard line.
24! Blue, 24! Set! Hut! Hut! Hut!
Are you sure? Well, can I talk to him myself? All right, all right. Thank you. Appreciate everything you've done for us. I know it hasn't been easy for you guys down there. Yeah, I will. Yes, yeah. Bye. Now that's it. It's official. Governor denied clemency.
And we wrap up the broadcast with the Mega Bowl controversy. We're talking about a game that was so close, had it been caught on film, could have changed a person's life.
Bobby? What? I wanted you to know that I admired what you did out there today. We all did.
Thank you, Wood.
It was a hell of a game, and you played your best. We're damn proud of you, son. Damn proud. You caught a bad break. I wanted you to know that. Your foot was in bounds. Any idiot could have seen that.
Well, I appreciate your say-so.
If there's anything we can do for you, anything at all, you let us know, you hear?
Well, I think I'll be fine. But thank you.
I know you will, son. Well, I've always liked Bobby. I admire him as a ball player and respect him as a man. But he was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers, and it's up to me to carry out the punishment. I've done it for many years. I've done it for men that I've liked and men that I haven't liked. But it's my job, it's my duty, and it will be done.
So what did you order?
What did I order?
For your meal.
Oh, I didn't think I'd be too hungry. I don't want nobody going through all that trouble for nothing, so I just asked for some Jolly Ranchers. See, I wanted some lifesavers, but Warden Duffy, he thought Jolly Ranchers would be best.
I didn't think lifesavers would be appropriate under the circumstances.
One last question, if you don't mind, Warden.
Yeah.
Will you allow Bobby Briggs to make his final walk barefoot?
Well, now that's a good question. It's against regulations. But I'm sure he'll be more comfortable doing it that way, and maybe we can bend the rules just one more time. I'd like that.
And we wrap up the broadcast with the Mega Bowl controversy.
Why they have to show it again? We already know what happened. It's on all the channels.
Tacklers all around him pulled a miracle from the skies of heaven. Was his foot in or out?
How can he say he was out of bounds? You can't even see it the way they got the camera.
By one whistle. The Mega Bowl. Controversy, question.
It's that damn electric leash they made him wear. That's what slowed him down. They know he can't run as good with something on his feet.
Calpurnia, what did you just say? You see, as part of Bobby's furlough agreement, he had to wear a monitoring device on his ankle, a GPS. And looking at a map, this is downtown Austin. You can see the University of Texas, the jail where Bobby stayed, and down here is the Austin Steer Dome. And this is the Bison's end zone. You see this red dot? Well, that's Bobby's right foot, firmly and irrefutably planted in Birmingham's end zone. The timestamp, 9:37:56, 0.2 of a second on the clock, and Bobby's in bounds. Referees couldn't see it, and the cameras couldn't see it. But the GPS could. Bobby scored that touchdown, and the Texas Department of Corrections had the document that proved it. The only obstacle left was the FA Review Board. If I could convince the board to change the score and alter sports history, I just might have been able to save my client's life. Of course, you all know how that turned out. Bobby.
They said no, didn't they?
Yes, Bobby, I'm afraid they did.
Figured they would. I mean, you can't change the score after they won and all. That wouldn't be fair. How's my mom?
She's okay. Holding up.
I got something for you, Mr. Ledger. Well, I wanted to tell you how grateful I am for all you've done for me, and that I truly appreciate it. So does my mom. You went out of your way to try to save my life, and I just want to let you know that I'll never forget it. Now, you can open it now if you like, but I'd rather you wait till after, you know?
Of course I'll wait, Bobby. That's what you want.
I'll miss you, Mr. Ledger.
CP1, CP2. Yes. Yes. The witnesses have arrived and being escorted into the witness room at this time. Just about perfect timing, CP3. Couldn't be better. What's that? CP1, was that on your end again?
Yes, we had another phone call coming up here on another line.
Okay. CP1 and 2? Yes. Be advised, all witnesses have entered the witness room at this time and are seated. Temple, stand by for the start of the execution. Okay, about to start. CP1 and 2? Yes. The superintendent has entered the execution chamber and is in the process of introducing himself to the witnesses and confirming the witnesses. This accomplished, he is advising the witnesses that at present we will proceed with the court-ordered execution. CP1, 2. The execution team is in the process of escorting the condemned into the execution chamber. He is fought to the chair without any resistance, seated at this time. Teammates are in the process of securing restraints. CP3, you getting that background conversation? Yes, I am. Is that on your end? Not my end, no. But I hear it. CP1, you picking up that background conversation?
Yes, that's at our end. We'll clean it up.
CP1 and 2, the body strap is in place and the remaining restraints are in the process of being secured. 10-4. CP1.
Yes.
Still getting an awful lot of background conversation. CP1 and 2.
Yes.
The condemned is secure in the chair at this time. The superintendent is affording the condemned an opportunity to add statements to his last statement. The condemned is now in the process of making a last statement. CP1, 2, he is making a statement, and apparently the witness can hear, but we cannot understand what he's saying in here. CP1 and 2, be advised, the last prayer is in progress. It is now completed. Execution team members are in the process of securing adjustable headrest. CP1 and 2, the superintendent is in the process of reading the execution order to the witnesses and to the condemned. CP1 and 2, the superintendent has completed the reading of the essential court order. That's correct. CP1 and 2, be advised that the mics have been turned off at this time. Final checks of the restraints. That's completed. Everyone is departing the execution chamber. CP1 and 2, be advised that the executioners have taken their places at the control board. Stand by for the board's last communication check. CP1 and 2, be advised that the execution is in progress. We're into phase 1. Phase 2 completed, we're now into 2. Phase 2 is completed, we're now into phase 3. CP1 and 2, yes, phase 3 still in progress. That's correct. CP1 and 2, be advised the execution is completed. Stand by for the positions check. Curtains are now being closed. Security personnel in the witness room in the process of escorting witnesses back out. Sounded good, CP3.
It is with profound sadness and a heavy heart I wish to inform all of you that at approximately 6:54 this morning, my client, and indeed my friend, Robert Allen Briggs, was executed by the state of Texas. Now, there are those that will argue that what was done here today was justice, but they are wrong. Man does not die by the hands of justice. Man dies by the hands of other men. And that is what happened here today. A man died by your hand and by mine. I tremble for all of us when I think that God is just. Thank you.
Mr. Briggs, you may proceed with your final statement.
Thank you, Warden. I would just like to say I'm sorry I let everyone down yesterday. Now, I know y'all were looking forward to the big parade.